past time, so I'd like to call this meeting to order and request that the clerk, I believe it's Lydia Frazier, read the announcement for COVID-19 and public comment procedures and the Metro Cable 14 replay statement.
Yes, absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone. In compliance with directives of the county, state, and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, this meeting is live streamed and closed to in-person public participation. Temporary procedures are subject to change pursuant to guidelines related to social distancing and minimizing person-to-person contact. To make a verbal comment at today's meeting, dial 916-875-2500 and follow the prompts to be placed in queue for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter. When the chair opens public comment for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter, callers will be transferred from the queue into the meeting to make a verbal comment. Written comments are always accepted. Please feel free to send your email comments to boardclerk@saccounty.net, and your comment will be routed to the board and filed in the record. This meeting of the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commission is cablecast live on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T U-verse cable systems. The live meeting can also be heard free on KUBU Radio 96.5 FM. This meeting is closed captioned and live streamed at metro14live.saccounty.net and will replay on Saturday, June 5th at 3 p.m. and Sunday, June 6th at 9 a.m. on Metro Cable 14. This meeting can also be viewed on Metro Cable 14's YouTube channel. And that will end my announcement.
Thank you so much, Clerk, and will you please take a roll call?
Yes, absolutely. Directors Nava?
Here.
Riley?
Here.
McCarthy?
Here.
Hedges?
Here.
Supervisor Natoli? Director Schaefer? Director Spies?
Ready.
Thank you. And Director Kalamcheria?
Yeah. Chalam Charla, this is me. Yeah, I'm
Chalam
here.
Charla, thank you.
Chalam Charla.
And Gatewood?
Here.
Thank you. Paraset?
Here.
Poyomu?
Here.
And Brown?
Here.
And we do have a quorum.
Thanks so much. Just want to make a few comments before we go ahead and get started with the agenda items. Want to note that this is the first meeting I've ever been at where we didn't have a closed session, so very excited about that. Want to note for everyone to please keep yourselves muted if you're not speaking. We get a little bit of a feedback if you don't do that. I'd like to welcome, I'm not sure if I heard that he was here, but I do want to welcome Board Alternate Ryan Brown, who replaced Katarina New for Sacramento Councilmember Mai Vang. And lastly, I wanted to mention that we do know that some boards are starting to meet in person. We're going to hold off doing that until at least the next meeting, in part to get some more guidance from the state, but also because with how many members we have in the room we're in, it's impossible to get proper social distancing. So we're going to wait until at least the next meeting and get a little bit more guidance on that front. So with that, I'd like to move to the first item, and I'll ask the clerk to please read the item into the record.
Year 2021 through 22 proposed budget to include resolution numbers 2021-004-007, exhibits 1 and 2, and agreements.
Good afternoon, Chair Hedges and members of the board. I'm Bob Davison, your Executive Director, and I'll be presenting the budget item. Before I go into the PowerPoint presentation, I just want to do a little bit of house cleaning. I have to apologize. We did make a few errors in the agenda packet, which I will try to outline right now so that we can correct those. First of all, and I have it projected on the screen, is Attachment 1. And in Attachment 1, there are 2 references to fiscal years that were incorrect, and they're corrected in the revised version, and that's shown in red. And then later on page 2 of the resolution, there is a reference to a distribution amount that will be taking place in June of 2021. And we had to fill in the blank, and that amount is $8,983,712. We had a final version of this resolution, but somehow in assembling the agenda package, the draft version that had a few more edits got sent out. So I apologize for that. And one other item is there are three resolutions. They were the items were on the agenda, but the resolutions were not included in the packet, and those are attachments 28, 29, and 30. And there, 28 is a resolution approving an amendment to the professional services agreement with Atrium 916. Attachment 29 is a resolution approving the second amendment to the the PEG fee funding agreement for the Regional Transit Control Room. And attachment 30 is the cable casting agreement with various entities, including Regional Transit, Sac Metro Fire, Sac Unified School Districts, and SMUD. So with that, I just wanted to make sure that was all clarified, and the revised agenda packet was included on our website as well as sent to board members. And if there's no questions on that, I'll go into the PowerPoint presentation on the budget. So if staff of Metro Cable can put the budget PowerPoint up, we can move on to that. Okay, and again, I'm Bob Davison, Executive Director, and I'm pleased to present the fiscal year 21-22 proposed budgets, both for the general fund and the PEG fee fund. The numbers of those funds are 94A and 94B. So first I'll talk about the general fund, and as you can see in the exhibit with the piece of the pie pieces, that pretty much summarizes the main budget components. There's salaries and benefits of $1.5 million approximately, services and supplies of about $761,000, channel licensees base from the general fund, and that's just about $1.5 million. And then the fiscal year 21-22 revenue distribution of approximately $8.6 million. And then there's another component of the pie for other items like the Atrium agreement, audit services, and the other than retirement post-employment benefit trust that we participate in. So with that, I'll be going into some of these items in a little bit more detail. So first of all, component one is administration and regulation. Karen Liu, the ASO3 of the commission, she runs the administrative office and is the highest level of the commission. Other than my position, which is part-time executive director. So with that, the administration arm administers state-issued cable franchises. So you all know we don't have local franchises anymore, but the state administers, awards franchises, but leaves everything else to the local communities to administer. So with that, we assist in resolving cable complaints. So your boards, any of your council members or board members getting cable complaints, most of you already know this, but you could forward them right over to the Cable Commission, and we have a complaint resolution process that works quite well. We also fund and support the operations of 6 PEG channels on the local government system, which I won't name them now because we'll be getting into them later. We collect and distribute franchise fee revenue from the member agencies. We collect the PEG fee revenue as well, and we distribute, we run the call for funding PEG process, but we also distribute the remaining funds to the member agencies as a revenue distribution. So the administration staff includes, as I said, me, the part-time executive director. We have 4 authorized full-time positions, an ASO 3, an ASO 1, a confidential senior office specialist, which we have not filled, and a senior office assistant. Typically, we talk about a COLA, for a cost of living adjustment for staff. We think that will happen, but we are tied to County of Sacramento positions for compensation, and with that, at this point in time, the county has not awarded COLAs to most of its staff. And so with that, they're waiting for a bunch of employee organizations to reach agreements. We're hoping that those agreements are reached maybe by final budget, but as of now, there's no COLA, but we hope at final budget that we'll be making such an adjustment. Also, I'd like to point out here, this is related to agenda item number 3, which is our update of our policies and procedures. But one significant item is that we do have 2 staff, the ASO 3 and the production director, who are now going to be designated as exempt staff. So our policies are a little bit old and antiquated and weren't necessarily compliant with current wage laws. But so with that, those employees have been, for example, if they work overtime, they get paid overtime. They get paid overtime or CTO, and they get it paid at time and a half. So with the change to exempt staff, they will be true management employees. They will work as many hours as it takes to get the job done, not just on an hourly basis. As you are most likely aware, it's probably going to be well more than 40 hours a week. With that, because of such a change, I am proposing a 3.5% paid differential for the exempt staff. And that will be a going forward differential. So basically, we're tied to the county positions, and then there will be a differential that we would add on top of that. I should note that management employees at the County of Sacramento do get paid a paid differential for different reasons, but one of which that commission staff did not get. So now that we are exempting 2 of our employees, this is what I believe is to be a fair trade for that, in giving up the rights that they've had up till this point. And we'll be talking a little bit more about that in agenda item number 3, but because there's budgetary impacts, of which I believe the differential would be about between $7,000 and $8,000 a year is the impact for that. So some highlights of component 1. I already mentioned salaries and wages and benefits. The Atrium contract for the COVID call to artists for producing video content that will be amassed together and basically made into half-hour shows that will be able to be shown on KVIE, Access Sacramento, Metro Cable, and possibly others. They've had the initial setup for that, so we've already paid $25,000 to Atrium. And now they're at the point where they're doing the call for funding, and pretty soon we'll be at the point in the Atrium contract that they will be asking for the next level. But the remaining amount on the Atrium contract is $75,000. And I hope to report in future meetings, the finalization of this Atrium contract, and even show some highlights of what came out of this effort at a future meeting. As I mentioned, we pay into the CERBT other than retirement, post-employment benefit trust, and the contribution to that trust this year is about $74,000. Also, based on commission policy and based upon the amount of unfunded pension liability that the commission had, several years ago, the commission directed staff to start paying down that liability. And so since then, we've been paying $500,000 every year to CalPERS to pay down that liability. Closed captioning costs are $100,000. I'll be talking about some stats there in a minute. County DTech and IT services is $83,000. Those are costs that are allocated to us. We have no control over those costs as long as we are using county equipment, which, because of where our offices are, we pretty much need to do. Legal counsel, $250,000. I think your board is aware that we had to amend the legal counsel amount last year. Last year was a very high year for legal counsel because of litigation and because of certain efforts that we were working on, like the cafe plan update, which was on the last agenda, and the policies and procedures update, which is on this agenda. So with that, we expect legal counsel to be more of a normal year next year, and so we've ratcheted the budget back down to about $250,000. And with that, there's other professional services such as our audits, cable commission audits, audits of the cable companies, as well as agreements with our accountant that we're going to be talking about today, and various other, and I believe that's where the payment for the executive director services to the county sits. So with that, we have $150,000 in the budget for that. So closed captioning. About a year ago, we, after doing an RFP process, we selected a new vendor for closed captioning. Their name is Aberdeen. They, for the last year, they have been closed captioning commission meetings. We've gotten a lot of good feedback from on this firm, feedback in terms of accuracy as well as the presentation of the captions. So I believe, based upon that contract that we entered into last year, that we had a marked improvement in closed captioning on Metro Cable, and we are recommending, as part of today's budget item, a one-year extension of that contract. So with that, I'll go to some of the stats of meetings. This basically shows the meetings that we record, the hours of meetings we record, and then also the meetings that we caption and the hours that we caption. One real interesting thing about this table shows that 2018, which was a normal pre-COVID year, we did 328 meetings at 686 hours. Well, 219 being the initial COVID year, we saw a reduction, not much of a reduction really. So meetings continued in a different way. But we did certainly see a reduction in meetings. And then it's interesting to note, 2020 still being a COVID year, but, COVID moving forward and people figuring out how to move on and such, and also with the need for many public processes to take place during such a pandemic, we actually saw an increase in the number of meetings recorded, and even more than just the meetings recorded. On an hourly basis, the meeting hours recorded went from 686 hours in 2018 to 890 hours in 2020. So not only shows you that there were a lot of meetings, but people were talking about a lot of items at a lot of meetings, as the hours will show. And then with the closed captioning, we closed caption as many meetings as we can. There's some that we technically can't. Regional Transit is about to do a new control room, so right now we don't caption regional transit meetings, but we believe that after that control room is upgraded, and it's going to happen this year, that we will be captioning regional transit meetings as well. So component 3 is Metro Cable, and we just talked about the meetings and how many hours we've been doing. Well, Metro Cable is the entity that provides the gavel-to-gavel coverage of the meetings held by the Commission, the 7 member agencies, and 13 other agencies. Staff is always instrumental in assisting with the cable casting of these meetings, and since COVID-19, in many types of formats. We're doing this meeting on Skype. There's meetings on Zoom. There's meetings on Blue Jeans. There's meetings that are partially live board members and partially call-in board members. Lots of different types of meetings, and so certainly I want to commend my staff for being flexible and working harder during the pandemic, which, given what's happened to a lot of industries and such where there weren't jobs, these jobs got harder, and it's certainly appreciated to have a job that continues on during such a time. And with that, we provide a lot of assistance to our member agencies, not only with the COVID items and presenting the meetings in the way that we've been presenting them, but also with the PEG equipment and facility needs that are part of the annual call for funding process, which we'll briefly talk about in a few minutes. So Metro Cable staff has 4 full-time positions: a production director, which is the one position that I said would be an exempt position now, a programming coordinator, a technical coordinator, and a technical assistant. We also have part-time production assistants that assist with the recording of the meetings at the various locations. I do want to point out that we have asked our production assistants to, during COVID, to only have one production assistant at a meeting. And we may be readdressing that when COVID goes back to normal, but for now, that's one of our COVID procedures that we have implemented during COVID. Okay. And then again, like with admin positions, is that these positions are tied to certain county positions, and we're waiting for the county COLA before the COLA is awarded to our staff. So community programming, as you're aware, we have 7 PEG channels. The one we just talked about is Metro Cable. We have 6 others, and we have 2 channels that are programmed by Access Sacramento, one channel programmed by PBS KVIE, 2 channels programmed by the Sacramento Education Cable Consortium. We also have another PEG channel that is operated by Sacramento Faith, but because that's religious in nature and because of church and state rules, we don't provide funding related to that channel. And Capital Public Radio, which we use their radio broadcast as background in certainly in Metro Cable. And they've been a long-standing partner, and so they're part of the community programming process as well. They don't actually program the PEG channel; they just happen to be on one of them sometimes. So with that, the board also authorized a COLA process for the channel licensees several years ago. That COLA basically gives the same COLA that staff gets, but also provides an adjustment for minimum wage and payroll costs based upon the minimum wage increases. But because, for the same reason that we don't have the COLA yet, we are also going to put the COLA for the channel licensees on hold until the final budget. But they would realize the full amount of the COLA regardless of when the COLA got authorized. So with that, we provide what we call the base funding from the general fund to the entities I just mentioned. And I won't go through the amounts individually, but this year's budget shows $1.47 million in base funding for these channel licensees. And that's the same amount as last year. Again, it will be higher likely at final budget. And component 5, finally we get to the revenue distribution. And the revenue distribution will be, first of all, we'll be talking about 2 distributions. One that will be happening this month, and that's the fiscal year 2021 revenue distribution. And as your board likely remembers, we budget an amount for the revenue distribution. Of course, we never know how much revenue we're really going to get from the cable companies. We always try to budget low so that we're not taking money away from the member agencies at the end of the year. And by policy, we actually so we compare the final revenue that we receive from the cable companies, and we compare that to what was in the budget, and we add that to the distribution that was in the budget. So this year, I think we had $8.2 million in the budget for the revenue distribution. We made $720,000 more than that. Well, actually, I believe my math is wrong there. No, maybe it's about right. Anyway, regardless, is we added the $720,000 to the budgeted amount, and that's the amount that will be distributed in late June to the member agencies. Just a small note, we received about $1,300 in revenue from a class action lawsuit that stemmed from us being part of the County of Sacramento and had to do with AT&T issues. And there was a class action lawsuit, and as being participants in the IT at Sacramento County, we received that small settlement. And then in fiscal year 2021, there's a proposed revenue distribution of $8.63 million, and that will be paid in June of 2022. And basically, this slide shows the actual revenue distributions that I just summarized. Again, we can see the budgeted amount of $8.2 million. We also show that we separate these revenue distributions into the member agencies based upon population as reported by the Department of Finance. So with that, the 2021 actual revenue distribution of $8.98 million, this slide here shows how that's disseminated between the different member agencies, which I won't read individually. And then the final column, the fiscal year 2021 proposed revenue distribution, again, this slide shows how that is disseminated to the individual member agencies. So this graph shows what's going on with franchise fees, and as your board, I believe, is aware, we've talked about reductions in franchise fees for several years now. It was before about 2015, franchise fees just always went up every year, and regardless of what was happening, the discussions of cord cutting over-the-top TV, we were still seeing a healthy increase in revenue distribution. And then that flattened out in about 2016. And since then, mainly due to AT&T deciding to not continue to support its video fiber product of Uverse and moving to a DirecTV over-the-top internet product, we've seen significant reductions with AT&T. We've seen some reductions in Consolidated, and we are also, in the past several years, have seen some reductions with Comcast. Some of those reductions with Comcast had to do with accounting as opposed to customers. But some, and this is exactly why we audit the cable companies every 2 years, so we can check the revenue that we're getting in to make sure that we're getting the revenue that we're supposed to receive. Anyway, as a little bit of good news, you can see that the curve is kind of flattening out. So the budgeted cable revenue, which is shown on the right side, is $12 million. That is the same amount that we budgeted last year. And last year we received the $12.7 million in revenue rather than the $12 million. We like to budget a little bit conservatively, so the hope is that the trend will still continue to be flattened out. But we want to budget a little bit below that so that there's room for it to be reduced if that should happen. So this is what goes into how we budget and can bring this budget forward and predict these revenue distributions and the funds that we have on hand to run our operations. So with that, I'll transition to the PEG fund. We get between 12 and 12.5 million of franchise fee revenue every year. Well, with our 1% PEG fee, we get about 2.5 million of PEG funds each year. We also have some carryover funds, and that's why the total expenditures are shown is $3.3 million. I'm not planning on going through these individually. There's a lot of facilities and equipment in all of these requests. This pie that you're seeing right here stems from our call for funding, where we reach out to member agencies, channel licensees, our own Metro Cable staff, to basically submit for grants for the PEG revenue that we receive each year. And it's been a healthy process. It's usually fully subscribed. I do appreciate the channel licensees. We asked them to trim their request a little bit just because we were a little bit over the amount that we had. They certainly usually work with us on that. But with that, we are providing $1.1 million to the member agencies for control room, chambers, monitors, cameras, and other equipment that goes into the chambers that are throughout the member agencies, and ultimately what gets on our Channel 14. Channel licensees have also asked for a little bit more than $1 million in one-time equipment for their various items, including their rent, including the various equipment related to the various facets of what Access Sacramento provides, significant equipment improvements for KVIE, and SECC continuing to provide for their Siva labs, which now that the pandemic seems to be getting towards where children are going back to school, the Seva labs, which has been so instrumental in providing a live lab for children throughout Sacramento to learn how to record and present and be on TV, and how to produce and edit, and all that, I believe will be coming back in business, and that's part of SECC's budget for this year. So with that, there's also reserves and contingencies. And with that, like I said, I'm not going to go through the member agencies or the channel licensees individually, but if your board had any questions, we can certainly entertain them. So with that concludes my presentation of the fiscal year 2021-22 budget. And it's recommended that your board adopt resolutions, all the resolutions that are included in today's packet, including the resolutions that were revised and also added, as I pointed out at the beginning of this presentation, and that with that adoption, adopt all attachments, exhibits, agreements included in the budget staff report. And with that, I, Commission Counsel, and Karen Liu can attempt to answer any questions that you might have.
Great. Thank you so much, Bob. Wonderful report. Before we move on to the board deliberation and direction, I'd like to open up the public comment opportunity. I want to announce for this item and all future items that because the in-person attendance was not permitted, comments submitted by the public are going to be read into the record, and members of the public are going to be given the opportunity to phone in to make verbal comments during the meeting. So, Clerk, can you read any written statements that have been received?
There are no written statements at this time.
Is there anybody that's called in?
No public comments either.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public comment opportunity and move on to board deliberations and questions. And if there are none, then I'll ask for a motion to approve resolution number 2021-004, adopt the fiscal year 2021-2022 proposed general fund, and resolution number 2021-005, adopting the proposed PEG fee fund, 94B, to the budget, and to include the following resolutions, exhibits, and agreements that are listed in the agenda.
So moved.
Is that Director Gatewood?
That is.
Thank you.
Seconded by Natoli.
Thank you.
Supervisor Natoli, for record-keeping purposes, can you tell us when you arrived at the meeting? Because during roll call, I don't believe you answered.
I didn't. I wasn't right there for roll call, but I've been on the call for probably a better part of 25 minutes now.
Okay.
So
All right, great. We'll note that on our records then. Thank you.
Yeah. So I can tell you, I've been on the call for 23 minutes, according to my phone. There you go. Technology is wonderful.
So, absent any questions or comments, we have a motion by Garrett Gatewood, seconded by Don Natoli. Clerk, can you please take the roll for each board member's vote?
Absolutely. Directors Nava,
Yes.
Riley,
Yes.
McCarthy,
Yes.
Hedges,
Yes.
Supervisor Natoli,
Aye.
Schaefer, Director Schaefer, and Director Spies,
Yes.
and Director Chalamchurla.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. Yes.
Okay.
Good job.
Director Gatewood,
Aye.
and Director Paraset,
Yes.
and Director Poyomu,
Yes.
and finally Director Brown.
Yes.
Thank you, Director Brown. And the motion passes to move staff recommendations.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and move on to item number 2. Clerk, can you please read that item into the record?
Yes, item number 2 is resolution number 2010-010, approving the 11th Amendment to the License and Operations Agreements and Channel Licensees.
Good afternoon again. With the last item, we certainly talked about the channel licensees and how they program the 6 PEG channels that are not operated by the Commission. This item is simply approving the 11th Amendment to the License and Operation Agreements pertaining to the use of the community programming or PEG channels that the Commission owns. And with that, I recommend that the Board adopt the Resolution 2021-10, approving the 11th Amendment to the License and Operation Agreements pertaining to the use of community programming channels.
Go ahead and open up the public comment opportunity. Clerk, do we have any statements received or phone callers?
No, there are no statements received nor public callers.
Thank you. I'll close public comment opportunity and move to board deliberation and direction. And I'll ask for a motion to adopt resolution number 2021-10, approving the 11th Amendment to the License and Operations Agreement pertaining to use and community programming channels.
So moved. Gatewood. So moved.
Riley, second.
Who is second there?
Keaton.
Riley.
Thank you. We have a motion by Garrett Gatewood and a second by Keaton Riley. Clerk, can you please take the roll?
Yes, Directors Nava,
Yes.
Riley,
Yes.
McCarthy Olmsted,
Yes.
Hedges,
Yes.
Supervisor Natoli,
Aye.
and Director Schaefer, Director Spies,
Yes.
and Director Chalamchurla.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Director Gatewood.
Yes.
Thank you. And Director Paraset,
Yes.
Director Poyomu,
Yes.
and Director Brown.
Yes.
And the motion passes.
Thank you. Clerk, can you please read item number 3 into the record?
Absolutely. Agenda item number 3 is resolution number 2021-011, Policies and Procedures Manual, and resolution number 2021-012, approving amendment number 1 to Cafeteria Plan.
Okay, good afternoon again. And can I check, is Commission Counsel Laura Fowler on the line?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great, Laura. Thank you. And I just wanted to check if you were there. I was just going to introduce you, and I wanted to thank Laura and Karen Liu for putting a lot of time into this next item. This is the SMCTC Personnel Policies and Procedures Manual. As your board member probably have learned, it's a very large manual. And it certainly did take a lot of review time and discussion time. The policy of the Commission, they were quite old and antiquated. They probably go back to when the JPA was first formed. And even though those policies worked, and we were able to work with council to do what we needed to do with the policies, it's been known by me and admin staff that we really needed to bring these policies up to date. So with that, we did make a few attempts at it, and like I said, it was a pretty daunting task because it was so voluminous. But myself, along with Karen and Laura, over the past many months, made a concerted effort, kind of following up to the cafe plan, which is another item that we needed to get done. So we right after that effort was done, we went into this effort, with the goal to get the manual updated, and now we have it before your board. So I am very happy about that, and very thankful to Laura and Karen. So with that, I'm going to walk through the highlights of the manual. Like I said, it's very long, so I won't be reading it word for word or anything like that. First of all, even though we did have an old manual, we did update policies along the way. One, we needed to be compliant with law, regardless of what our policies said. And two, there are many reasons why we, either legal reasons or other reasons, why we had to update policies. These policies basically incorporates all the other policies that your board has approved, or in some cases, staff approved when they were legally required. Some of those policies includes dress code standards policy, Healthy Workplace, Healthy Families Act of 2014, fraud prevention whistleblower policies, pregnancy-related leaves and transfer of privileges policies, a parental leave policy, which your board approved in 2016, a lactation accommodation policy, and the California Family Rights Family and Medical Leave policy, which I believe is more recent law. So the above policies have been included in the manual, and I'll just kind of walk through some of the highlights of what else is in the manual. We have the inclusion of a disability accommodation policy. This is basically just to have the policies to reflect additional protected characteristics added to the law since any previous version was adopted. And certainly disability accommodation needs to happen and will happen at the commission and certainly pursuant to law. We have are recommending an updated vacation accrual schedule. Our accrual schedule was pretty old. A lot of our employees sit right next to County of Sacramento employees, and it was seen that the county had a better vacation accrual schedule than the commission, which was true. So here we are basically recommending that we just adopt the county vacation accrual policy. I will point one tweak, because I don't want to do a takeaway to any current employees, is the commission's years 0 to 3 accrual was a little bit higher than the county. And with this policy update retains the 0 to 3 accrual that we had from the commission policies, and then transitions to the county accrual after year 3. The commission has a vacation pay option. Currently, it's only open to employees with 15 years more of service. Seems like a long time to get there. I think the county buyback is a 10-year, but and then there was another problem with the vacation policy, is that it wasn't IRS compliant. So it looked like we were going to have to implement a complicated policy where you had to request the vacation buyback the year before that you were going to buy back that vacation, and you had to be taxed on that entire amount. And if for some reason you decided not to buy back that vacation, you were still taxed on that amount. It was not something that seemed that we wanted to implement. It was going to take a lot of paperwork, and Commission Council recommended another option, which is basically a mandatory cash out policy. We do look at the vacation cash out once a year in January, and so with that, we decided that rather than go number of years, come up with a high number of hour threshold, but basically we're recommending a policy where for employees that are more than 160 hours in January when we check for the cash out, that is a mandatory cash out policy. So that allows us to retain the policy, make it so you don't have to wait 15 years to get it, but employees also aren't getting it day one because it takes a while till you can start accruing 160 hours of vacation. And not implement a process that's administratively cumbersome or requires us to declare the hours that we're going to take and be taxed on them even if we don't use them. So that's the story on the vacation pay option. For overtime compensation and CTO, there's a few changes that need to be made. One is for compensating time off, employees have to opt into that. We can't just force it to be one way or the other. We are likely going to be suggesting this compensating time off to the employees, but they have the right to not agree to that. In addition, the current policies say that you get overtime after an 8-hour workday, and we're proposing to change that to a 40-hour work week. So this allows an employee to work 2 hours extra on a Wednesday and maybe take 2 hours of compensating time off on Thursday and not have to get into the issue of the Wednesday work was over the 8 hours and therefore has to be paid at the overtime rate. So again, a 40-hour work week.
Bob, this is YK. Is county has the same way, or county has after 8 hours overtime?
Which entity?
County.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. The county. That's a good question.
Don't worry, I think.
I think it's 40 hours.
Okay.
Honestly, I would have to double check that and get back to you.
Thank you.
I've been on the exempt side on the county for so long. I have not accrued vacation in a while, but I can certainly get back to you on that.
Certainly. It's a good trade-off. Most of the, our local Folsom City, it's mostly go by after 8 hours, it is overtime. And when I was working for state, after 8 hours overtime. But there is a reason why we are picking after 40 hours overtime. I'm good with that. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Okay, education reimbursement. We are also just increasing it from $150, which was extremely low. And if somebody wanted to use it, we likely would have brought that before. But we're proposing to bring that up to $1,500, which is also, I think, close to what the county does. Executive leave has been on the commission books, but we haven't had exempt employees. And so we are, basically it's 40 hours of extra leave, and it would be for exempt employees. So the 2 exempt employees that we talked about earlier, who previously were not exempt, also would be eligible for that leave. And then finally, disciplinary action. Well, the commission has had its share of disciplinary action. Fortunately, one of the appeal rights that employees did have if they were disciplined was to appeal to the board. That's your board. That's not usually the norm these days, having the disciplinary actions being appealed to a board. So we are trying to update this to, one, not have those types of appeals come to your board, and also implement a process to where if we do have discipline that's that an employee wants to appeal, that they absolutely have that right to appeal, but it would be through an independent hearing officer selected by an agreed process, as opposed to going to your board or appealing it to me directly when I may have already been involved in the discipline process. So with that, I think that summarizes most of these changes. We've already talked about the reclassification of the exempt positions, and there is a minor change to the cafeteria plan that we had the definition of employee in the cafeteria plan But there's some employees that are eligible for benefits, and then there's part-time production assistants that are not. And we had an error in the definition of employee that would have subject all employees to benefits. And so we also have, this item also corrects that. So with that, that's the end of my presentation. I will ask, since I have Commission Counsel on the line, if Laura Fowler can just pipe in if she thinks that I missed anything, or if there's anything else that she would like to offer.
Hello there, everyone. This is Laura Fowler. I'm happy to be here with you all today. I thought you did a great presentation there, Bob. Unless there are any questions from any board members, I think you covered the primary points.
Great, thank you. So with that, if there's any questions, myself or probably Laura will answer them.
This is YK again. I want to thank for carving out these processes and procedures for our commission level. Sometimes we can always adapt from the grandfathered in kind of county level. I want to thank Laura and the other people who put in a lot of efforts to carve out these ones for our commission. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, good job, Laura. Good job, Bob.
Thank you.
Let's go ahead and people can still ask questions and comment, but I do want to take a moment to open up the public comment opportunity and ask the clerk if any statements have been received or callers have called in.
No, we haven't received any statements, and there are no public comments, commenters on the line.
Thank you so much. I'll go and close public comment and move back to any board deliberation. Okay. Then I'll ask for a motion to adopt resolution number 2021-011, approving the SMCTC Personnel Policies and Procedures Manual, approve resolution number 2021-012, approving amendment number 1 to the restated and amended CAFE plan, and direct staff to take any actions necessary to implement our revised and updated policies and procedures effective July 1st, 2021.
This is YK. I'm going to move this one.
Second, this is Lisa Nava.
Thanks. We have a motion by YK Chalam-Sherla, seconded by Lisa Nava. Clerk, can you please take the roll?
Yes. Sorry, one moment, please. Directors Nava?
Yes.
Riley?
Yes.
Director McCarthy-Olmsted?
Yes.
And Director Hedges?
Yes.
And Supervisor Natoli? Director Natoli?
Aye.
And Director Schaefer? Director Spies?
Yes.
Director Chalam-Sherla?
Yes, ma'am.
And Director Gatewood?
Aye.
Director Paraset?
Yes.
And Director Poyo-Mu?
Yes.
And Director Brown?
Yes.
And the motion passes.
Thank you. Clerk, can you please read item number 4 into the record?
Yes. Agenda item number 4 is for the chair election, annual election.
And for this item, I will leave this up to the chair and the board to elect a chair and a vice chair for fiscal year 2021-2022.
Thank you. Unless there's any discussion, I'll go ahead and ask for a motion to nominate a chair for fiscal year 2021-2022.
May I ask Director Natoli, are you interested in continuing? You've done it now for a little less than a year, correct?
Yeah, I'm happy to serve if that's the will of the board.
Okay. Then unless there's any objections, I would nominate Matt Hedges for chair for the upcoming 21-22 fiscal year.
Paraset second?
Great. So we have a motion by Director Natoli, second by Director Paraset, to nominate Matt Hedges for chair. Clerk, can you please take the roll?
Yes, Director Nava,
Yes.
Director Riley,
Yes.
Director McCarthy-Olmsted,
Yes.
Director Hedges,
Yes.
Director Natoli,
Aye.
Director Schaefer, Director Spies,
I like her voice.
Yes.
Director
Yes.
Chalamchurla,
Yes.
Director Gatewood. Director Gatewood,
Yes.
thank you. Director Paraset,
Yes.
Director Poyomu,
Yes.
and finally Director Brown.
Yes.
And the motion passes.
Thank you, everybody. Then I'll go ahead and ask for a motion to nominate a vice chair for fiscal year 2021-2022.
Hey guys, if no one wants to do it, I'd like to get a little more engaged in this group, especially since I run a tech company. I'd love to spend a little more time digging in, see if I can help out.
Okay.
This is Matt Hedges. I'll motion for Garrett Gatewood to serve as vice chair.
Nice.
I'll second Lisa Nava here.
There's a motion by Director Hedges, seconded by Director Nava, for Director Gatewood to serve as vice chair. Clerk, can you please take the roll?
Yes, Directors Nava
Yes.
and Director Riley,
Yes.
Director McCarthy-Olmsted,
Yes.
Director Hedges,
Yes.
Director Natoli,
Aye.
Director Schaefer, and Director Spies.
Yes.
And I apologize, Director Chalamchurla,
Yes.
okay, and Director Gatewood,
Definitely yes.
okay, Director Paraset,
Yes.
Director Poyomu,
Yes.
and Director Brown.
Yes.
And the motion passes.
Thank you, and congratulations, Garrett. Clerk, can you please read item number 5 into the record?
Yes, item number 5 is the General Administration Report.
Good afternoon again, and I'll go through the 5 items in the administration report. Actually, some of these items I think we touched on during the presentation, so I'll make those items short. The first, item 1 is the FCC in-kind proceeding. And if Commission Counsel Harriet Steiner is on the line, I think she might have a brief update on this item.
I am.
Great.
Okay. So this is the case that was up at the 6th District Court of Appeals, and it deals with whether the 5% franchise fee includes non-cash contributions required by the local franchising authority. And your commission engaged in this litigation as one of the named parties. We got a ruling just a few days ago on May 26th. And it was a mixed ruling, but it dealt in large part with the issue that was of most concern to the commission. So first, the Sixth Circuit said that the FCC's definition of the franchise fee to include offsets for non-cash contributions was permissible, and so long as it wasn't an item that was mandated by the Federal Telecommunications Act. So that is basically anything that goes towards complete build-out of the system cannot be deducted, but other requirements of the local franchising authority could be deducted from the 5% franchise fee. But the good news is the court overturned the monetary valuation process for those non-cash contributions. So whereas the FCC said that the valuation was fair market valuation, the Sixth Circuit said that it's the marginal cost to the cable operator. So that deals with the issue that we were most concerned with because we have, as you know, and you heard today, 7 PEG channels. And we were completely uncertain as to what a fair market value of those channels were. The marginal cost will be much easier for cable franchisees like the Commission of the State of California to deal with. Now, I remember that the FCC has not yet ruled on the PEG channel portion of the in-kind proceeding, so that is yet to come if it comes at all. The court also dealt with a bunch of other items that were in this case, primarily whether or not the city of Eugene, Oregon's 7% broadband fee was permissible or whether it was preempted by federal law. The FCC had found that it was preempted, and the Sixth Circuit agreed with that. So that has the impact of not allowing jurisdictions to add franchise fees for non-cable services in many circumstances. And that's kind of complicated, but I'm willing to explain it in more detail if you'd like. But otherwise, I'd say it doesn't really arise in California because of the way we do our franchising and because of the telephone franchise that the state provides for. The other thing that the FCC did that we were hoping it wouldn't was, in the past, state franchises were not subject to the same rules as local city county type franchises. The FCC in this proceeding said that state franchises, like the one we have now under DIVCA, should be treated the same way as locally issued franchises. And the 6th District agreed with that was reasonable and the FCC could do that. So right now, it was a mixed ruling for the case. We didn't prevail on the larger issue of what constitutes an appropriate or proper deduction from the 5% for non-cash obligations, but we do know now that it would be the marginal cost and not the fair market cost, so that's very favorable. But right now, all of the parties are determining what they want to do at this point. It's possible to ask for rehearings. It's also possible to file a petition to the U.S. Supreme Court. Those are due over the next several months if they were to occur, and we would keep you posted on that. It's also, I would also note that the FCC currently has 4 members, that the Biden administration hopefully soon will appoint a 5th member. That new FCC board includes several members who voted against the rule that was at issue in this case. And so it's very possible that we will see further rulemaking at the new FCC when the 5th member is appointed. And so with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have on this issue.
Any questions from anybody? Okay. Bob, is that the end of the report, or are there more items you need to go over?
Sorry about that. Yeah, no, I have a few more items. Should go very quick. Thank you, Harriet, for that report. And the next item I have is the introduction of our new office assistant, Jamie Almeida. She's in the chambers, and I've asked, oh good, the cameras are showing Jamie. Jamie's been a temp for us and has been really helpful, and we offered her full-time employment, which she has accepted. So I'm happy about that, and welcome on board, Jamie. Thank you so much. So with that, Metro cable operations during the pandemic, I believe I've touched on that mostly during the presentation on the budget. I do want to thank Metro cable staff for being so flexible and working so hard during the pandemic. And also, you know, as California reopens and as meetings go back either to live meetings or morphing from the way they are now to a different, partially the way live. Who knows exactly what we'll be facing, but, Metro Cable staff has been very flexible and very helpful to the member agencies, and as each member agency makes a different decision on how they're going to present in their meetings, Metro Cable's been there to be flexible and to make sure that they are broadcast. So thank Metro Cable for that. Item number 4 is an accounting services agreement. I'll have to ask Karen Liu to help me. I just executed an accounting services agreement that we've talked about at previous meetings that's going to help leading into our audits to do our books, so that our books aren't just subject to our funds are the county, but it takes some sort of accounting to move certain monies into the right places, and it as opposed to having the auditor come in each year and correct that for us, we're going to have an accountant now that will be able to make the correct postings, and that's going to be very helpful. It's not very expensive, but Karen, can you remind me the name of the firm? Or the
gentleman in question is Robert Merritt. He's an independent certified public accountant that was recommended by our auditors. Because our audits are performed every other year, the recommendation was made that Mr. Merritt could possibly assist the Cable Commission on a month-to-month basis to clean up our books, if you will, so we don't see large audit adjustments every other year. In previous years, we've budgeted as much as $300,000 to account for those shortfalls or our audit findings. So we're hoping with Mr. Merritt's help that will go away.
Thanks, Karen. But anyway, it's my duty to report entering into such agreements. I do have the signature authority for those types of agreements. And then the final item is Atrium 916, but I pretty much fully covered that during the budget. So unless there's any questions on that or any of the other items that I just discussed, that concludes my general administration report.
Thanks, Bob. We'll move on to item number 6. Clerk, can you read any statements submitted by the China licensees since in-person attendance is not permitted?
Yes, the first licensee report is from Access Sacramento, and it says, Dear Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commissioners, Access Sacramento would like to thank the Sacramento Cable Television Commission for decades of funding and confidence in our ability to serve the Sacramento County community, and we would like to thank you for your continued support in this upcoming year. Access Sacramento Community Media is in a challenging but interesting position coming off this wobbly year. We pursued available financial assistance with alacrity to cover the shortfalls in non-cable subscriber revenue streams, such as membership and media training classes. We transitioned our leadership upon Gary Martin's retirement and lost our community radio coordinator due to sickness. During the pandemic, we adjusted our processes so community media education and orientation could continue virtually, but with important challenges come important opportunities. The Access Sacramento Board of Directors has worked diligently to hire Donna Guiraud, the new executive director, who brings many years of marketing experience along with her media production management skills. After a thorough assessment of the business mission, core values, internal processes, and staffing, Access Sacramento is being positioned to strengthen our commitment to the community as an important forum for ideas, opinions, creative expressions, civic engagement, and information about and for the Sacramento County community. Worth noting is the recent increased civic transparency engagement that Access Sacramento has been willing to undertake. In addition to live radio coverage of local city government meetings, Access Sacramento has taken on the responsibility to air live California State Assembly meetings on local cable television, which went away with the demise of the Cal channel, but is still sought after by cable television customers. We absorbed this civic engagement work to support one of our core values of strengthening community through media so the citizenry can be informed. This service has been especially important during the isolation of this pandemic. Also, worth noting is that Access Sacramento show content is focused on community diversity and inclusion and on media training in order to provide citizens with a path to economic resiliency. We are also focused on developing alternate revenue streams with a global goal of continuing solid nonprofit services for the community to match the persistent increases in operating expenses. Please feel free to contact our new Executive Director, Donna Hero, if you would like further information about Access Sacramento, your community media center, making a difference, one voice at a time. Respectfully submitted, Access Sacramento Board of Directors, and Donna Hero, Executive Director. And the next report is from Cap Radio.
Capital Public Radio.
I'm sorry, Capital Public Radio, thank you. We're grateful for SMCTC's grant support over the past 2 decades. The steady funding has helped Cap Radio provide relevant local content for the greater Sacramento region and beyond. It has also allowed us to provide 24-hour music programming, most of which is produced locally. Below are a few examples of how Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commission's support helped Cap Radio continue to grow, innovate, and become more responsive to our audience in the past year. Inside, Cap Radio's flagship program empowers communities to navigate their daily lives with a sense of place and connection, providing listeners with deep contextual background and understanding on breaking news, big events, politics, and culture. It elevates diverse voices and local perspectives through conversations with community leaders and advocates, local and national experts, artists, and more. This March, veteran reporter and news personality Vicky Gonzalez joined Cap Radio as the new host of Insight. Gonzalez, an Emmy and Murrow award-winning journalist, comes to Cap Radio from Sacramento's NBC affiliate, KCRA, where her reporting included daily assignments, special reports, breaking news, and a documentary. We faced unprecedented circumstances and responded with unprecedented coverage. In light of the pandemic, we shifted to 24/7 reporting and increased our daily newscasts from 2 to 4 times per day. We launched a coronavirus digital content hub and a daily coronavirus newsletter. Partnerships were crucial to expanding our coverage. For example, we partnered with KQED to cover Governor Newsom's press conferences, North State Public Radio to launch a rural reporting series on coronavirus in Plumas and Sierra counties, and Louisville Public Media, KQED, and KPCC to launch an online tool to track COVID-19 cases by county. We also adapted our music programming. For example, we partnered with APM Reports and Minnesota Public Radio to offer virtual music events, and Stockton Symphony to broadcast 2 concerts on KXPR. We provided high-quality election coverage. We conducted virtual interviews with key candidates, Mayor Darrell Steinberg and Katie Valenzuela. We produced Meadowview Counts, election coverage focusing on engagement and resources, forward reporting in the Meadowview neighborhood, politics reporter Nicole Nixon collaborating with NPR on voter access to polling places, and vote by mail. We also provided critical election resources to the public via our election news and resource hub. We served as a critical news source for the region during last year's wildfire season. We developed evergreen articles during previous fires, such as how to prepare for wildfires and how to track them, that we were able to quickly share when last year's fires broke out. On August 20th, at the height of the season, capradio.org passed 100,000 users in a day for the first time, and then passed that every day through August 23rd. After George Floyd's murder by a Minneapolis police officer and the social uprising that followed, Cap Radio's journalists worked day and night to witness and understand the historic moment in our communities. The team brought our audience the latest news, holding those in the highest positions of power, the governor, mayor, and police chief, accountable, as we always do. Our protest coverage included a statewide special broadcast with only Black voices and produced by Black journalists, a special Sacramento broadcast with only people on the front, with only Black voices and Sacramento with only Black people on the front lines, and live stream discussions with Black community activists. Last fall, Cap Radio entered into an agreement with North State Public Radio, NSPR. This partnership is a result of an effort to preserve and expand essential public services provided to the communities in the North State region. This spring, Cap Radio entered into a similar agreement with Humboldt State University to manage KHSU and other non-commercial NPR member stations licensed to the university. On July 1st, 2020, June Reyna became Cap Radio's Executive Vice President and General Manager, responsible for all station operations and strategically guiding Cap Radio's growth into the future. Previously, Reyna served as Cap Radio's Chief Operating Officer and Chief Financial Officer, and he was instrumental in growing the organization's staff, budget, and geographic reach. We made great strides towards becoming a more inclusive organization. Our goal is long-term cultural change within Cap Radio to evolve the organization's thinking, systems, and practices. We commissioned the Justice Collective to conduct an audit of our policies and structural documents. We developed new hiring and retention practices, and our content team committed to undertake a DEI content audit and to develop a DEI content style guide. In closing, we thank Sacramento Metropolitan Cable TV Commissions for consistent annual support of our mission, allowing us to serve our audiences in deeper and more meaningful ways. And the final report is from KVIE's General Manager, David Lowe, and he has provided the following statement. Thank you to the Commissioners for your continued support of public media for the residents of Sacramento County. The support you provide to us is very meaningful and helps move our mission forward. Because of your support, we're able to help the youngest amongst us learn their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, and the rest of us are able to explore the world and connect with our community. You don't need me to tell you that this past fiscal year was one like no other, but through it, we were able to continue to provide new services to help with at-home learning for students and increase the number of local hours of production by changing Rob on the Road to Rob at Home and including more local guests on Studio Sacramento to talk about COVID, the economy, social injustice, and more. Those are just a few of the changes we were able to make, all while keeping our employees safe during the pandemic. Again, thank you for your continued support to help keep public media relevant and in robust service to all in Sacramento and beyond. And I believe that includes the channel licensee reports.
Actually, I believe SECC submitted a video to be presented. If Metro Cable staff can cue that up, please.
Thank you, Karen.
Good afternoon. I'm Liz Rhodes, Executive Director of the Sacramento Educational Cable Consortium, and I'm reporting to you from the set of our 2021 Siva Award celebration. It's been quite a year. So first of all, thank you for your continued support. We really appreciate all you do for us. And we're very, very proud of our students, our teachers, and our staff, everybody that has made, this year the success that it was in spite of all of our challenges. Two things I want to report on today. First one is our Siva Award celebration. We had the greatest number of entries that we've ever had. And I think that's due to the fact that we had the Siva home labs that you funded. Those were tremendously successful and made quite a difference to all of our students and our families, especially our families. This year we had a new set of awards defining 2020, which highlighted some of the really challenging things that happened and how our students and families kind of overcame those challenges and flourished in spite of it. And then we actually had our 32nd annual award night that was celebrated with watch parties with students and families participating that live, as well as we really enhanced the production value and the on-location work that we did with our presenters.
Welcome to the 32nd Annual Award Night Celebration. I'm Nabil Lema, your Master of Ceremonies, and I hope you all enjoyed these past 2 weeks of celebration.
It can really open people's eyes and help people. This video actually means a lot to me because a lot of people actually saw my video, it will make me really happy because I helped someone and I actually really like helping someone.
This is gonna be quite the video.
So use what you have and start filming.
Welcome.
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 Welcome to the Sivas.
Welcome to the Sivas.
This year we continued to be the graduation channel for Sacramento. We've streamed and are streaming over 52 of the graduations, and it's provided a great opportunity for families that cannot attend the actual ceremonies to be able to watch from home via their cable or also to be able to stream from our website. The other wonderful thing that we have found out this year is that there are many families that have families in other parts of the country as well in other parts of the world, and they've been able to view these graduations also. Let's take a quick look at some of those.
Congratulations to the class of 2021, and I hope you succeed what you strive for.
Again, we thank you for your support. It's been a challenging year, and we really appreciate the support that we've had from your staff. Working with Bob and Karen and Mary has been absolutely phenomenal. As we move forward and we want to continue to expand the services and the projects that we've started this year, we've learned that we have a new motto that we live by: get used to different. Thank you.
Great. Does that conclude the channel licensee or the channel licensee reports?
Yes, it does.
Great. That was a wonderful video, and appreciate hearing from the other channel licensees. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak, Clerk?
Not on this item.
Okay.
And
all right. I was just going to say that we can move on to the state franchisees unless there's any other comments on this.
Perfect.
Which is item number 7. Clerk, can you read that? Or actually, can you read any statements if they've been received?
There are no statements, state franchisee reports.
Easy enough?
No.
Okay, great. So then let's move to item number 8, which is general public comments. I'm going to read the following statement into the record. Members of the audience who called in may comment on an item of interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Commission. Each person will be allowed 3 minutes. No action may be taken on non-agendized items raised under public comment until the matter has been specifically included on a future agenda for discussion and action. If a member of the public wants a response to a specific question, they're encouraged to contact Commission staff or any of the board members. Clerk, can you open the public comment and let us know if there's anyone who's called in to speak?
Yes, we do have an off-agenda caller on the line, and if you'll give me just a moment, we'll bring him on board. And I'd like to ask Mr. Davison how long you'd like to give them to speak.
Typically, it's
3 minutes. 3 minutes? Sounds good. Bear with us, and we'll get them on the line. 1 moment, please.
Yeah, typically 3 minutes. The chair can amend that if he likes.
Perfect. Thank you. Ground. Hello, caller. You are now in the meeting. If you will have 3 minutes to make your public comment, and if you could please keep the meeting muted in the background. Go ahead, please. Hello, caller. Hello, caller. You are now in the meeting.
Of Sacramento cable for some time, even before the COVID started. And what the problem is that on one television we have a problem of just getting one channel. Another one has several channels that doesn't have the sound at all. And I haven't even been able to speak with them because they won't even speak with you because in count of that you need a account number in order to speak with, and the person that does the paying of the cable. There's about 5 or 6 of us in one household, and we cannot get no sound at all, or even find out when, just to find out like when they think that they're going to be coming out. I understand it's supposed to open up pretty quick, completely as of the 15th of this month. But we would like to have someone come out to check on things of what's wrong, and we can't even state anything because that they want to have your account number, and I personally it's the person that owns the place that has that, and she has called Sacramento Cable as well on things and all that she can't even get the answers on. And I called today of the commission, and I talked with a person, and they said that they would speak with a case manager, and they would report it, and they would get back to them in about 7 to 10 working days. And that's all I want to mention, that it is important that how you can't even find out anything with what stations they carry or what, because there's been some stations that dropped, and she's paying a whole lot of money just of the service that she has. So I thank you for listening to me, and I will get your comments off the air.
Yes, sir. Can you please identify yourself for the record?
I am all finished. Pardon?
I'm sorry. Can you identify yourself for the record?
Yes, I did identify myself. I didn't know if you heard me or not.
I'm sorry.
It's Arthur Ketterling.
Thank you.
Arthur,
do you want me to spell that?
Make sure that
do you want me to spell that?
Has your contact information, or that you reach out so that you can speak with them directly, so that they may be able to work through some of these issues with you.
Chair Hedges, Mr. Ketterling?
I didn't hear him.
Mr. Ketterling, I believe you spoke with my admin staff. We are aware of your problem and have filed a formal complaint on your behalf. Staff will reach out to you after this meeting. You probably called us this afternoon, and we were all out here, so we couldn't answer your call personally.
Oh, I understand.
But we will reach out to you tomorrow to help you resolve your issues, okay?
All right, then. And I'll be telling the person that owns the place and all.
All righty. Well, thank you. Well, thank you for contacting us and bringing that to our attention. But our staff will follow up with you tomorrow, okay?
All right, then. And may I get your first name?
My name's Karen.
Karen?
Okay. Karen Lou, how are you? Mm-hmm.
That's my wife's name, too.
Oh, is it? Oh, a nice name.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
All right. So thank you.
All right. You take
very
care.
Much.
Okay.
You too.
Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.
All right, thank you, staff. Are there any other public comments, Clerk?
No, there are no further public comments.
Okay, well, then that moves us to adjournment. I want to thank everybody. I do not have a gavel, but I'll give it a couple earnest claps. And appreciate everybody coming out, and we'll see you at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Chair Hedges.